Hello, I'd like to talk to you today about informed consent and also about books. Unless this is the first video of mine you've watched, you will know I write books like this book on research ethics. And because a book is a physical object, it can seem like a finished thing, a done thing. But these books of mine, particularly the ones I write for Policy Press, aren't done. They're books that are likely to go through several editions. And I'm constantly thinking about what might go into the next edition. I start a new edition folder as soon as the first edition has gone into production, or the most recent edition, as the case may be. So I've been thinking quite a bit about informed consent, and particularly how informed can people really be about what it means to take part in research. The standard procedure in Euro-Western research is to give potential participants an information sheet, a piece of paper that sets out what the research is likely to involve, why it's being done, who it might benefit, these kinds of things. And also to give potential participants a consent form. If they agree to take part, they can sign the form to say that they agree, and then researchers have a record, and that's good practice, and that's all very clear. Some researchers are using alternative options. For example, some researchers working with young children, or perhaps some people with learning disabilities, might use video instead of a paper information sheet, make a short video explaining why the research is being done, what it involves, and so on, so that people can watch that and get the information in that form, which may be easier for some people to absorb and understand than written paper information. But there's still a key assumption underpinning all of this, which is that a decision to take part in research is a single cognitive event. This is too simplistic. It's not. It's a process, and it involves emotion. Every decision human beings make involves some level of emotion, some clearly more than others, but it's never not there. Some researchers are beginning to take a process approach to informed consent. So some researchers working with people who have dementia, for example, are renegotiating consent at every stage. Some researchers working with bereaved people are using a staged process of consent because bereaved people are full of emotion and it can be very difficult to make decisions in that situation. And people doing longitudinal research over months or years may see consent as more of a process, or at least that if they see it as an event that needs to be repeated. With some forms of research, emotion is a huge part of the process. I've mentioned bereaved people. There's also, in medical research, a situation where someone receives a diagnosis, perhaps of a really severe or life-limiting illness, and quite quickly afterwards are asked to take part in a randomised controlled trial of a drug that may or may not help, that they may or may not receive in the trial. And making those kinds of decisions are really difficult. There's quite a bit about this in the medical research methods literature, with physicians really grappling with the difficult issues around these requests for consent, around the need to do these trials, including these kinds of patients, but also recognition that people may be in a very difficult situation in their lives at the time when they're asked whether or not they're willing to take part, and how can we make those decisions easier for people, or even should we ask people at all? But then if we don't, how can we do the trials, and so on? The discussion goes around and around. There aren't only problems around the moment of consent, however, or around the short-term process of, will you take part? Yes, no. There's also future uncertainty, and this is short-term and long-term. In the short term, even if we've read the information sheet carefully, understood it thoroughly, understood the consent form and signed it of our own free will, we don't really understand what we're signing up to. And I say this as a frequent research participant as well as a researcher. We understand that we're going to be answering some questions about a specific topic, but we don't yet know what those questions are. Probably. It's fairly rare for researchers to let us see the questions before we say yes or no. And we don't know how that's going to leave us feeling. We don't know whether it might upset us or make us uncomfortable. We can't know, because even the most careful researcher can't know what's going to upset every single person who might be a participant or what's going to make them feel uncomfortable. And then there are the longer term implications. We can't know the implications of anything much, from how the encounter will leave us feeling, to whether the findings might be biased, might be misused, whether if we do see the write-up of the research or whatever the output is, whether we'll feel that we've been fairly represented or not. There are huge numbers of unknowns. So really, I think in the second edition of my research ethics book, I'm likely to be arguing that the informed in informed consent is really a myth, and that we need to reconstruct that process somehow to make it more closely reflect the reality of uncertainty that we all share. I don't know how I'm going to put that together yet, but I thought you might like a bit of insight into the mind of a writer who writes these kinds of books, and how that process continues, as I think consent needs to continue, in between different editions.